Good morning, everyone, and welcome to tonight's Facebook Conversations with me. So, let's start with my thoughts. Laser versus IPL. So, I'm just going to quickly go here. Give me a second so I can see your comments. I always love reading your comments. If you can see me, say hello, don't be afraid. We're here for some open conversations. But if you have any questions, pop them in the link there and I'll answer them either as I go along or as I see them. So let's have a look. All right, a couple of you are on there. So happy Tuesday. All right, so yeah, laser versus IPL. This conversation has been happening in our industry for years. And, to be really honest with you, a lot of what is being said is either outdated or I think misunderstood. So, and I'm going to say this really clearly at the start. I'm kind of done hearing clinicians say, oh, laser's better than, IPL because it's more targeted. IPL is weaker. Laser gives better or true, follicular destruction. Because that's not entirely true. And it usually comes down to a lack of understanding of how IPL, actually works. So tonight I'm going to break this down properly, not from a marketing perspective, but from a clinical and a biological perspective, because both technologies absolutely have their place, but only when they're actually understood and used correctly. But for those of you who don't know me, my name is Nancy Abdu. I'm from the Australian Dermal Laser Institute, and I work with clinics across Australia and New Zealand on devices, treatment protocols, and getting real results, not just owning equipment. And this is one of the biggest misconceptions I see in our industry. And it's a little bit frustrating, but let's start simple. Let's just start with the basics. So laser, we know, is a single wavelength. Oh, a little bit hot in here. It's actually not hot in here. It's just menopause, actually. Oof. Okay, so laser is a single wavelength. That's what we call monochromatic. Mono meaning one, and chromatic, chroma meaning light. So laser is monochromatic. It is coherent light, so there's no divergence. It's very concentrated. All the waves, right, depending, let's say it's a 755 nanometer wavelength, all the waves are actually traveling in phase together, and it's very specific to the target that it's being treated. IPL, on the other hand, is a little bit different. It's what we call broad spectrum. So typically we're using wavelengths of roughly 400, usually it's about 415, 420 nanometers, right through to 1200. So it's a broad spectrum of light that's being utilized with multiple wavelengths. So it's not just a single, monochromatic wavelength. It's multiple wavelengths, and it's what we call non-coherent. So the waves are traveling not in phase together. You've got all the different waves traveling at different phases. There's divergence, and the light, yes, it does spread out. When I say spread out, it kind of lights up the room because there's a bit of scattering when we're doing the treatment. So not all light devices are created equal, and not all two modalities are the same. They're both very, same, but different, as I usually say. But this is where the misunderstanding begins, because people assume single wavelengths means better and broad spectrum means weaker. But again, that's not, quite the truth, is it? And it's just not how it works. So IPL is not weaker. IPL is just more complex. And this is where a lot of, I think, the confusion actually happens, because Again, I'm going to repeat that IPL is actually not weaker. It is just more complex. And it's more complex because it's actually, I guess, harder to learn properly. With laser, that you're working within a fixed wavelength. Like I said, if you're, using 755 nanometers, it is just 755 nanometers. Or if you're using a 1064, then it's just a 1064. Some devices might have one, two, or some might even have three wavelengths, but typically it'll be one or two, and pretty much that's it. And then once you've got your wavelength, so we'll stick to the 755 because a lot of you know with hair removal, once you've got your wavelength, then you're fixing your energy, so how much energy is coming out of the device. Pulse duration sometimes is, changed depending on the skill of the therapist. And then there might be the spot size. But really, that's kind of all you're changing. However, with IPL, like I said, it's a bit more complex because you're selecting, it could be 7 with the PhotonX, it's 10 wavelengths. So it's, not just a fixed wavelength. It could be 415 or a 530 or a 560 or a 590, 640, 690, 750. There's so many different wavelengths to choose from. You need to then also select your pulse duration, and different targets, different chromophores will need different pulse durations, and especially for finer or smaller structures, it's going to need a different pulse duration than a bigger structure. So for example, a fine hair will need a shorter pulse duration, whereas a thicker hair will need a longer pulse duration. So we've got to choose that. And then we've got the energy. So how much energy is coming out of the device, similar to your laser. Then you've got your pulse delays that you need to choose. You need to choose how much cooling that we're going to be utilizing. No cooling, little cooling, medium, a lot of cooling. Gel application is also important. Is it a thin layer? Is it a thick layer? And of course, with both of these, we're looking at the skin's responses. There's just a lot more happening with an IPL system than there is with a laser system. So there's definitely a lot more variables. And if you don't understand all of these variables, like I said, pulse duration, the filtering, the cooling, all these things that I mentioned, then your results are going to be poor. But that's not a technology issue. That is an operator issue. All right? So at the end of the day, I don't personally care what device you're using. What matters is this. Are you achieving the correct clinical endpoint, or are you not? I think that's what matters, right? With laser, are you getting, perifollicular edema or not? Are you getting blanching of the capillaries or not? And it's the same thing with IPL. The endpoints are actually the same, but we're just using a different device, all right? Because if you're not getting your clinical endpoints, that is telling me whether the treatment is working or it's not. So that's what really matters. Like I said, for hair, it is that perifollicular edema. For pigmentation, which I didn't mention before, it's that change in pigmentation, that darkening, and then microcrusting. All right. And again, for vascular lesions, we're looking for that blanching and coagulation. Rejuvenation, which I didn't mention before. So for collagen induction, we're looking for that even erythema. Right. So these are the endpoints that we're actually trying to, achieve. If you're getting those endpoints, then the technology is working. Am I wrong? Let me know if I'm wrong. If you're achieving the endpoints, your technology is working. So let's address this idea of true follicle destruction or true follicular destruction. Laser does not magically destroy follicles better. It doesn't work like that. All right? Hair reduction is achieved through thermal damage to the follicular unit, and that includes your stem cells and the bulge, and also your blood supply. Right, it's the whole unit, and it can be achieved with both laser and IPL. If the energy is delivered correctly to this specific target chromophore, which again is the bulge, the stem cells, and the blood supply. So really, it comes down to the understanding of that tissue interaction. What I hear oftentimes is, sorry, Kenzo, what I oftentimes will hear is laser clinicians or laser therapists saying, laser is better because it's really precise, it's targeting the hair follicle, whereas IPL is, the light's scattered and it's not precise. My question to those people who are saying scattering is bad, can you answer this? Why actually is it bad? Why is scattering in the skin bad? And oftentimes they can't tell me. If you're not overheating the surrounding tissue, which we're not, that's not the intention, right? If we're not overheating the surrounding tissue, and if we're heating that follicular unit to the desired endpoint, why is scattering bad? It's not. What we're doing with this light that's being scattered into the surrounding, structures of the skin is we're increasing the heat and we're stimulating fibroblasts. So in fact, with IPL, they're getting 2 for 1. We're getting the follicle itself, not the follicle, but the actual, those targets are being destroyed, right? And we're also getting collagen induction. So if you've got someone who's got a little bit of scar tissue from ingrown hairs, let's say on their pubic area, we're destroying, or we're retarding, not retarding, that's the wrong word, we're reducing the hairs in the area, plus we're actually stimulating collagen and elastin. It's a win-win. So just because there's that little bit of scattering doesn't mean that IPL's worse. In my personal opinion, if you've got the posturation, the wavelength selection, and the energy right, you're achieving those clinical endpoints, you're destroying that follicle, and you're actually, not destroying the follicle, but you're destroying the stem cells, the blood supply, and the bulge, and therefore you're actually getting better quality of skin. Nothing wrong with that, right? As long as we're not overheating the tissue. You don't want to do that, not with IPL, not with laser, correct? All right, so let's have a quick look at, actually before I go on, let's talk about, say, 1064 long pulse. So where we're, stimulating collagen. Some, devices will actually, or some device companies will actually call it laser genesis. That's a trademarked word. We have to be careful of that. But nonetheless, 1064 long pulse laser genesis, again, it's quite precise. We're causing this bulk heating of the tissue. We can also do that with IPL, where we're creating bulk heating of the tissue and we're, stimulating that collagen and elastin. So one is really specific, but we're still creating bulk heating. One is broadband and we're still creating bulk heating. No problem there. We're both getting the same end result. We're just kind of doing it in a different way. Same thing with capillaries, same thing with pigmented lesions, right? Except the difference is with IPL, you're getting a little bit more bang for your buck, where we're stimulating that collagen and elastin a little bit more than you actually would with, say, a laser. So moving on with modern IPL, where has IPL, evolved significantly, is really, I think, quite, interesting for me. So selective wavelength. So older IPL systems emitted everything, like I said. It emitted from 400 to roughly 1,200 nanometers. And I still love it, still has its place. However, it didn't filter out what we didn't want, right? And so again, there's that little bit of that overlap between your laser IPL. However, the newer systems allow us to select and refine what we do want. And this is where what we call selective wavelength technology comes in, or sometimes it's often referred to as double notching, a double notch filter. And what that actually is we can remove specific chromophores that we're not really wanting, whilst we're actually keeping the beneficial ones. So for example, when we're treating vascular lesions, we want to use roughly 530 nanometers, could be 515, 530. But we don't want our 6 and 700s because it's heating the rest of the tissue unnecessarily. But we want to allow the 800s back in because they're great at absorbing hemoglobin or being absorbed by hemoglobin. And so what your double notch filters or your selective wavelength technology, what that does is it only allows the 500s, takes away the 6 and 700s, and then allows our 800s. And so we can do that for, like I said, for vascular, we can do that for pigmentation, we can even do that for acne. So acne, we allow our 400s through, and then we take away our 5 and 600s. So depending what we're trying to treat. With acne, it's the C. acnes bacteria, we're trying to destroy that, whilst also reducing the inflammation in the skin. All right, so again, you know, that's sort of like where new technology is moving. So this way we're delivering a more targeted energy, we're allowing less heat to be in those unwanted areas. The treatments are going to be so much more efficient, and therefore the outcomes and the treatments are going to be a lot safer. So definitely IPL has evolved with these double notch filters or selective wavelength technology. And I think, you know, with this type of technology, we're just not filtering light, we're actually shaping it. And so you're in control a lot more than what we were with, you know, that older, you know, broadband technology. So why is, and this is why IPL is incredibly versatile, because in one platform, you know, we can treat pigment, we can treat vascular, we can improve skin tone, we can stimulate collagen, and also, you know, reduce unwanted hair. It's not just, like I said, that single wavelength and we're just doing that one thing. And so, you know, with our treatment goals, we're sort of really, you know, increasing those treatment goals and outcomes for our clients. And yeah, that's why I absolutely love IPL. There's so much we can do with it. It's just such an amazing platform. And the other thing I really love about IPL and laser too, don't get me wrong, you can combine modalities. So with both, you know, laser and IPL, you can combine them. I feel like with IPL, we could do a lot more with it. And so what you could do, you can, you know, treat scarring and collagen, and you can help with the tone of the texture. You can do, you know, a bit of rejuvenation and correction. You can also combine it, you know, with other devices. So you could do IPL and needling on the same day. So you've got thermal trauma and a mechanical trauma. Or you could do your IPL and your LED, or you could do IPL and a gentle exfoliation. So there's a few more things you can combine together with the advanced workshops or coaching that I deliver. I always teach you can combine, you know, IPL with a gentle exfoliation and needling and even radiofrequency all in one day. So in a way, it's a far more adaptable than a single wavelength device, if that makes sense. So bit of a reality check. Both their technologies have their place. You know, laser is definitely excellent for, you know, very specific targeted indications. And IPL is excellent for that versatility, for full face rejuvenation. I know when I'm treating, you know, with laser, because, you know, I train on both laser and IPL. When I train with laser and they've got, you know, one particular spot, it's great, you know, we can target it. But when I've got a full décolletage or a full face of pigmentation or capillaries, it just becomes a little bit more tricky because the spot size is smaller. It's a little bit more intense because the pulse duration is a bit more shorter. And so what I find is that downtime is just a bit more extensive. So IPL really is amazing for, those bigger areas. Like, I've treated whole full arms and backs with, for freckle, rejuvenation or reduction rather. So I think it's very versatile. I don't think the issue is the device, it's the understanding. And I think that's what lets some therapists down. And there's that misinformation in our industry, definitely. And so this is, with PhotonX, you may have seen it on our socials. This is why I'm really, really excited. We have this amazing new device that we're launching to the Australian market. And this is where IPL, this new IPL technology is actually heading, because the new generation of devices are solving the limitations of the past. And PhotonX is that next generation IPL platform. And what I love about it is that it reflects everything we've just discussed, plus a little bit more. With PhotonX, it's got the advanced wavelength control. There's an improved safety profile. We have better energy delivery that's actually really safe. The consistency is there. And above all of that and everything else that I've said, there is one extra thing there's actually a lot of things that this device does, but one really, really thing I'm so excited about is the DermTite. And so what the DermTite is, it's not just an IPL, it actually helps with tightening and firming and plumping the skin. IPL is really good at stimulating collagen and elastin, whereas DermTite is an infrared treatment where it actually is going to help, like I said, with tightening, firming, plumping, and retexturization of the skin. Loving it when you combine it with, needling, for example. And so now you're not just treating, say, pigment or vascular or just that collagen induction and scarring. You're also working on skin quality and structure, which I think is quite different from most IPL, technologies that are out there. And this is where, a lot of the technologies are moving. It's not just a single outcome, but it's a multi-layered skin improvement and approach. And so coming to the end now. So if you really want to see the PhotonX with the, double notch filters and DermTite, we're actually hosting a live launch event very, very soon. It's March the 30th from 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. So on a Monday night, where you'll actually be able to, I'll run a presentation on IPL and advanced technologies. You'll be able to see the technology in action. You'll understand the various protocols. I'll be giving some advanced protocol information away. We'll be performing some demonstration, and you'll get an opportunity to, touch and feel and ask questions and just see it all in action. And for anyone who purchases the PhotonX on the night, I'm so excited to be telling you you'll receive a free or a complimentary MySet Pro A skin scanner. It's an AI-driven skin scanner. It's valued at $17,000. We're giving that away only for the first 4 devices that we sell. I guess with the skin scanner, it allows you to analyze the skin at a much deeper level. You can track the results, improve your consultations, build your client trust, have some really nice before and after imagery, with their consent, of course. So you're not just upgrading your device, you're actually upgrading your entire treatment approach. So both with the PhotonX and with this AI-driven skin scanner. So if you're serious about getting results, better results, understanding your technology, there's a few things you can do, and elevating your clinic, I highly, highly recommend that you come to our event in East Melbourne. If you're still interested but you're not in Melbourne, I mean, this is a great time to sort of fly down to Melbourne and see us in person. But if you can't make it, let us know and we can arrange a video with you if you will. But if not, I'll actually see you there. So I'm very excited, for this, and hopefully that gives you some better insight as to what I think about, laser versus IPL. So I don't think, like I said, it's one's better than the other. I just think IPL is just a little bit more complex. There's nothing wrong with that because, we all love learning, and why not, right? All right, I understand that last week I did say I was going to go through LED, whether you do LED before or after, but I had a lot of people asking me. I've been teaching laser a fair bit lately. I've been asked, and I've seen a few posts about, lasers and if it's better than IPL. And I thought this is, the right time because we do have our launch in 2 weeks' time with the PhotonX. To bring this up. So I've moved the LED conversation in about 2 or 3 weeks' time. And so stay tuned for that. But for now, I will see you all next Tuesday night. And if not, on the 30th at East Melbourne. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight. And I'll see you then. Thanks for joining me. Bye.